We are live. How's it going, everyone? Me and Josh are here, not in the same state this time. I'm in Colorado now. As you can tell, my background is a bit more low key. I am visiting my friends and family in Colorado, and so my location will look different. But Josh is same as always, same spot, same face. How's it going, Josh?
It's going amazing, man. Happy Friday. Another beautiful Friday here in hot, sunny Arizona on a summer day. And it's a beautiful day. My sister's birthday today, so it's really cool.
Oh, that I saw that. Okay, I gotta tell her
Yeah,
happy birthday.
yeah. So I'm excited to jump into what we got for today. This is like our baby because we this process is what allowed us to allow us to live how we're living. You're out here in Colorado, traveling, living our best lives, which is our intention for every business owner, right?
Yep, yep, completely.
Which is super important. So I'm excited to dive in. So welcome everyone. Welcome. Get comfortable. Get a pen and paper down if you don't have one already, because we are about to drop some gems. These gems, like I said, helped us scale our business, and we are just more than passionate about this process. So
Yep,
we're
yep.
ready to rock and roll it, and we'll
And
allow a few minutes to get people come in.
it's funny too because yeah, well, people get in. I think it's just funny to kind of share how um, recently with this year, I've even seen a bigger issue when it comes to helping coaches close clients. It's the everyone has access to potential leads now. It's like they're all out there, but why aren't they converting? Are they bad leads, or are they really just being not being able to understand how you can best serve them, or they're not hitting that switch? They don't feel like they feel like you're selling to them instead of them feeling like they're building a relation with you. We've seen it. You see it when you get sold to. Like it just comes off different, and people are more aware than ever of that.
Yeah, I think we're always a little bit ahead of the curve, and I think we undermine our ability to tell the future. Just like when we ran Facebook ads, we were ahead of the curve of doing the tracking before the tracking was got taken out for Facebook ads. And I think the same thing for us. It's like we developed this relationship sales mastery a couple of years ago before the issue really is arising. And I feel like now more than ever, people are being sold to constantly. And that's why you want to develop a relationship and educate and not try to sell. If you're really confident in what you do, it should not feel like selling. And I think that's where a lot of coaches and salespeople, we tend to get bogged down in the word of sales and sell it.
That happens way too often. Just someone's asking for a link. One sec.
So I
And
think
then we'll get the show on the road.
yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to see that. It's like, wow. All right, well, it feels good to do the right thing. I think that's what we came to conclusion of, huh? It's like it feels right to do the right thing, and I think the premise of our process came from us just doing the right thing. We could have just kept trying to sell, but I feel like it just didn't resonate with our brand because we were focused more on educating, and B, I think is just allow us to really bring in the clients we want to bring in.
Yep.
And that is not talked about in 2022 a lot. It's like it's not about bringing in every client. It's like you can bring in the clients you want.
Yep. Yep. I feel that. Who do you want to work with truly? Are people really right fit? Are people really the right fit for you, and you are the right fit for them? It's not all just about making money, because the businesses that think long term, the coaches that think long term, started off by having a lot of great success because they cared so much about their customers. They overgave to now where when you see them who they are now, it seems like they are just magically being able to get on stage and close all these people, but they didn't start out that way. And that's the big thing that we need to kind of go through, is really understanding that differentiator. So I think we got everyone in here. It's 105 Colorado time. And so I think we can kind of start to dive in, guys. I think we're ready to get started. And hey, Ben, how's it going? Glad you could be
Okay.
on. And this, just remember, we're going to cover a decent amount of things in this call today. But really, as we go through it, just constantly reevaluate your current sales process and how you can take some of what we give you and integrate it into that. Because there's a lot of nuance, but at the same time, we like to keep it simple because sales doesn't need to be complicated. It needs to be simple for the potential client. And that's why for us and how me and Josh have always done our sales calls is we have consistent, easy to flow sales process that is really, we don't call it a sales process, we call it an impact process because we're impacting them through education. And that's the value of Grow Now. And that's what we're going to do today, guys. So any last words before we get started, Joshua?
Yeah, I think the number one thing of sales is it's as a coach and new coaches or even experienced coach, it's sometimes we tend to come from scarcity by thinking, oh, who can we bring into my business and who can I close instead of who do you not want involved in my business. And I think when you come from a place of abundance, there's no lack of, you trust that the right people are going to come in by having the right process.
Beautiful. Great. All right, I'm going to get this thing kicking off. Let's see here. All right, do we see this? Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. So, relationship sales mastery. We're going to cover how to get your first 10 coaching clients as a new coach, or if you're already coaching, how to consistently get those 5 to 10 coaching clients. And this is the process, of course, me and Josh have used. We've probably got you in here through that process. So, I look forward to kind of diving into the intricacies. All right, what's the agenda, Josh?
Yeah, so today our promise is by the end of this course to have a step-by-step process on how to get your first 10 clients, which will allow you to build your relationships, expand your network, and have a full sales pipeline. Because when you have a sales process, that's when you can open the gates. Instead of trying to open the gates and have no process, then it becomes chaos.
Love it. So what do we need, Josh? What do we need from them?
Yes. So what we need for you is to fully be present in this process, right? I think our power and our superpower is to fully be present and be here. So put your phone on silence, put those emails on silence, because in order for us to absorb everything that we're going to go through, we really want you to be here with us. And then the next few things is really asking yourselves, are you really fully committed to your potential? I think the biggest room in the world is room for improvement. And our ability to tap into our unlimited potential is how we really consistently grow and have the success we're looking for. So, are you ready to bring your full commitment? Are you really, really, really ready to bring in the success you've been looking for in your business? And are you ready to create a bigger impact with your coaching? Because that's really why we're here. We're here to create a bigger impact with your business. And we know what you have to deliver is powerful and impactful. So what a disservice it would be if you're not willing to put in a sales process to really get people into your service that you know you're solving problems for others. And that's why we take this process serious. We knew we had some amazing gifts and skills that we developed over the past decade of doing marketing each. And we knew that, hey, if we develop a sales process, it's going to allow to actually really help people. So that's what we need for you, is to fully commit and really take your business and your life and who you're serving to the next level.
Awesome. Cool. And then Kevin asked, is are you a ninja?
I am a ninja. Yes, I am a real life ninja. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt. So a lot of my metaphors come from the martial arts. I built hundreds of students to get their black belt. So I know a little bit about growth and what it takes to commit. It's just like the 3 years of training I did to get my original black belt. It came out we went through a 4-hour test. All those years came down just one 4-hour test. So the preparation and what we do and your ability to commit is why we're here. And that's the most important thing.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. So, who is Derek? Who is Josh? Obviously, a lot of you on this call today know us personally, and so I'm happy for you to hop on this call and be able to learn what we know. But just to recap for I think one or two people that are on here that don't know, uh, I'm a digital business consultant, and Josh is the growth mentor. And we like to take that angle because for me, I really view marketing and business from a systems lens. And when you view it from a systems lens, you start to see things differently. You start to look at numbers and the truth behind the patterns versus what people think and say or what people feel. And so when you focus on numbers, you're able to grow a business consistently over time. I love when Josh is able to get us all aligned with a vision, but then the day to day, my responsibility is to make sure we get that 1% improvement, that Kaizen. And so during this call, I'll be dropping information in regards to the system, the approach, and of course, with any relationship, it's not a system, it's an art and a science. And that's where you really have to be able to dance between being able to have a pattern and a consistency and a structure while also being able to tap in to your humanistic side and being able to express and feel with the other person. So that's what I'm really excited about, and kind of what I love to learn and study is that systems and the structure, and partner up with people like Josh, people like you on the call to provide that. And then Josh, a little bit about you as well.
Yeah, I'm the growth mentor. Like I said, martial arts has really gave me a attitude of having a Kenai attitude, which Kenai means constant and never ending improvement. And the reason why we want to have that type of attitude is that how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So business is more beyond what you're doing in business. It's how you wake up. It's how you show up in the world. It's how you show up in your relationships. It's how you show up with your friends. It all connects with your business. So I know a lot of us as coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs, we sometimes separate that. But it's like, no, you really got to take full responsibility in all areas of life. And that in return will grow all areas of life, which one of them being your business.
Beautiful. And one of the things that we really want to point out for you guys is how me and Josh don't just educate and offer this to clients, we do this ourselves. And so our 3-day work week is how we really position ourselves. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday are usually when we have our calendars available to be booked, when we handle tasks. And Tuesdays and Fridays are more for self exploration, which is both studying, being able to do things like this today on the call, which we love to be able to offer and allow us a lot more flexibility. And now the reason we're able to do that is because we've become really clear in our goals and clear in what we need to do and what we don't need to do. And for us, our goal is to really help other business owners gain that same clarity so that they can expand their business, not for short term, but for long term sustainable growth. And as you can see in the photos, I've been able to meet amazing people, being able to educate people live before the pandemic happened, and then even now online right now, being able to go on adventures, the wildest times with Josh and my friends, my family. It's been an amazing experience these last few years, and it's because of our mentors educating us on this that got them to be so successful, and now for us to be able to implement it and then teach it to people like yourself, which I'm really excited for. So, mountain biking, driving ATVs is just another day in the week for Josh and I.
Yeah. But before we move forward, what we got to do is leave doubts and fears at the door. So, what we ask for you is to have a white belt mentality and realizing as a white belt, when you get information, it may seem a lot or may seem overwhelming. However, we want you to be open to how can you learn and take away from today's session. And that only takes by having faith and a mind that is open to take in new information. So doubts and fears definitely do creep in our life, and our goal is to punch that away. And that's why I love teaching martial arts, because we don't get into physical fights every day. It's the mental battles that we deal with daily, in order for us to really become successful. And that's how we've been able to run a multiple six-figure company since we started, right? Is be able to have that. We left those doubts and fears out of the, at the door, and we walked into our full potential.
Beautiful. So, what we're going to talk about on this call is real value. Like I said, we implemented this approach ourselves, and in the worst economic time, we were able to grow our business quite significantly. And our main majority of our clients came from live events. So for us, it was a huge shift. But with that shift, we were able to test and practice, and then to where we are now, really having it dialed in. So the process is easy, simple, and really the goal here is to get an educated client that's ready to take action. That's the goal. We want to be surrounded by a bunch of people that view us as the expert that want to work with us versus us having to constantly chase new prospects. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the roadmap for this call is simple. One, we're going to start off with the triage call, diving into how that works. The triage call is your first conversation over Zoom or phone or in person with the prospect. So you're going to get them from either LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, from a networking event. However they come in, all roads lead to Rome. And that's this roadmap process. So you start them on a triage call. And then number two is to get them on to impact them with an education call. And that's where we separate ourselves from 90% of the other sales processes out there and other coaching clients out there, or some more so just coaches out there, is that we spend the time to impact, because we know that short spent time impacting will pay out long term in amazing opportunity. And then finally, how to close it with a proposal call. So we know that selling and pushy sales is not fun, but we can make it in a way where the proposal call just flows and we're able to push them to become a client, really just more so guide them to become a client. And if they don't want to move forward with us, at least they have everything they need to be able to move forward. And that to us, at the end of the day, is what we want to provide to the world. And we know by giving to the world, we'll receive it back. So me and Josh aren't stressed when we get on these type of calls. And when you start this out, don't worry, you get practice and practice in, dial it in the process, you'll get results. So let's start off with number one, triage call. So Josh, you handle a lot of the triage calls for Grow Now Digital. Why are triage calls so important?
Yeah, triage calls, I think, breaks down to two things. I think triage calls, the most important thing is learning how to develop rapport with the individual, because developing rapport with them will get us to know it, like we said earlier, if we even want to work with them. I think that's the most important thing. The second most important thing is see if they actually qualify for the next step. And what I mean by qualify is I feel like we need to have a basic foundation in order for them to be a good fit for the education call. So I think those are the two kind of most important reasons why we have a triage call. You don't want to spend an hour with someone trying to sell them, bringing them through a hour demo call. Let me walk you through my demo call. And then you spend an hour working with someone and they go, wait, I don't even run a business. Or I don't even want to grow, or I don't even want your service, right? So this triage call allows you to avoid doing extra work, and allows you to really focus and pinpoint if this person will be a good fit for the next step.
Beautiful. And so it starts before the call, right? It's not just about getting on the call and flying through the sales process, because when you have someone get on the call with you, how that first few seconds start is dependent on how you framed the call from the beginning. And how me and Josh have always approached it is when we get someone on a conversation, we don't want to pitch them anything to get on a call. We want to talk to them about the specific thing that we find passionate. Like for me and Josh, we love relationship sales. We love marketing. And so we love to talk to business owners about their marketing, and not really saying, hey, I would love to get on a call to go over XYZ product. We're looking to get them on a call to just go over who they are, person. And so, Josh, kind of roll us through, how do we set up an amazing profile? We'll use LinkedIn as an example, but this kind of covers all of social media. This is what people, if they don't know what you're really selling when they book a call with you, they're going to check your profile, which is what we want. We want them to explore and learn themselves and explain to themselves who you are versus you having to do that through the messages before the call. So how does it work, Josh? Break it down.
Yeah, I think the most important aspect is our real estate or our storefront now is really online, right? So as if you're selling online, your real estate is important. So the first part is a profile picture. Have the profile picture with a smile in it, right? Showing your teeth. Yes, the smile is showing your teeth, because I think that's an important aspect of people to understand how you're friendly and you want to welcome them in. The next thing is having the headline that explains what you do or what you offer. So it's super digestible for them to take. A lot of times people are going through social media 100 miles per hour. So because of that, we want to make it simple and easy for them to digest. Of course, I could put marketing advisor, Facebook ads expert, expert at organic social media, former events, ran, top 50 business owners how to run their social media systems. But if I put all that, it becomes too noisy. And sometimes with the noise in the world, less is more. And then a cover photo is what we really want to highlight, either social proof or somewhere where they could digest what you offer. So as you see in my profile, I put a picture when we were doing live events of me, teaching business owners how to actually utilize social media. And that was the main premise of the event. Once you have that, the feature section is important. And I think this is for any content. You want to show people what you have to offer and ask your audience if they're the right fit, right? We tend sometimes to just post content without asking what we actually want. And the good phrase from a lot of biblical studies is, ask you shall receive. So if you notice on the first feature section on the bottom on LinkedIn, we asked people who want to join our forum. We asked, if you're a business owner who wants to improve this, wants to do that, do you want to get started and move forward with our business forum? So make sure you feature things about you. Also, we recommend videos. People want to hear and see you, and it allows people to realize that you are an actual true person. A lot of times people with social media plans only do pictures or images. However, that's not enough in 2022. The next thing is you want to make sure you have a good about section and make the about section story form. We want to explain the story of why you're here and why you help others. For example, me and Derek talk about our stories. We talk about stories in our past businesses and why we really want to help business owners and educate them so they can provide their solution to people's problems. And then, of course, you want to make sure you have your current position and company page, so people are associated your brand with what you do and how they can easily work with you. So that's always the most important thing of a real estate is understand you want to make sure you have your positioning set up for as the expert in your field. And then once you have that, you're able to bring them to the next step.
Beautiful. And I would definitely recommend following me and Josh on LinkedIn, as well as the other platforms, so you can kind of see how we position ourselves and be able to provide that information, like Josh mentioned throughout all of this, to show who we are. And so, yeah, give us a follow, guys. That'd be a good way to kind of figure it out. And then the next step, from a systems perspective, of course, you got to make it easy for them to pick a time. I still come across a lot of clients that aren't really utilizing their booking process in the easiest way. And when, for example, the tool you see here is Calendly, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but the goal here is to make it easy for them. And so when you do a triage call, the first call that you do with someone, you want to limit the amount of obstacles they have to go through, because the goal of that 15-minute triage call is to be able to do that more in an authentic way. How many times have we come across someone that wanted to talk to us and we were actually kind of excited, but they gave us like 8 questions to fill out before that we even talked to them? And it's like, it just comes off a little disingenuous. I almost felt like, I don't really know if I want to talk to this person anymore. It feels like I'm being pushed somewhere, and I just don't feel attracted to that. Instead, think about what would they want the most, like almost give them something in the Calendly. So like one of the things that we do is say we say, what's your email, what's your name, and then a third option could even be, would you like us to remind you via SMS or email? Or some, we could even, now that I'm thinking about it, we could even have it be more like, would you prefer to meet on Zoom or to do a phone call? Like, what works best for you? Like, thinking about it in their shoes really makes it easier for them to go through. And then also, just make sure to check the process yourself every month. Just once a month, pick a time to kind of say, hey, is everything still working like it's supposed to? Because the last thing you want is for user error on the other end and not have booked calls and wonder why things aren't going right. So make sure to really check in on that. Um, the last thing I'll mention as well for Calendly, as well as the other tools, is usually if you pay for the higher package or put money towards the subscription, they offer you a lot of add-ons that are actually really awesome. With Calendly in specific, it lets you send out a lot more emails, reminders, SMS reminders. And that's important because people tend to forget if they don't know who you are. And these introductory calls are really about building that rapport and building that understanding and building that more so energy to push them through to guide them through the sales process. And so think about that when you set up your tool. Starting out, you can definitely use Calendly for free, but over time, I would recommend upgrading so you can get that added benefit, because you just want to make it as easy as possible for them to get on the call, because that's when the sales process begins. Any questions on that, guys? I think that's pretty straightforward. Um, Perfect. And then triage call. How do we actually structure it? Let's get to the sauce, right? Why you guys came on this is to know and understand exactly how you handle it. So when we hop on a triage call, we're going to do really 6 things. One, before we start the process, the structure, we still need to be humanistic, be that human nature part of us. Build a little rapport. Get to understand where they're at, location-wise, like where they live, how their week was, how their day was. Like, get an idea for how they're feeling, and also you can kind of set the mood here. If we both hop on the call, we're both staring at the screen with each other, and it's like, who's going to set the tone? Because they're setting the flow, but then there's also setting like the emotional tone. And so if you hop on, say, hey Josh, how's it going, man? I can't wait to chat with you, man. I've been looking forward to this. How have you been? What's been going on? Like, I just kind of hop on really enthusiastic. And then Josh, so he hops on and he just gets all excited. He's like, how's it going? I'm really excited to talk. Like, that emotion gets them to feel relaxed. And then how the process starts is, once that rapport happens, you want to dive into the first talking point. And in order to do that, there's usually a conversation flowing, and then sometimes a pause happens. And then who's going to speak first? We like to just kind of, this takes practice, but kind of just a little before that break takes place, guide the conversation into, and you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm kind of curious, what's your current situation in your business? Or you kind of just flow into it. And it sounds a little awkward, but when you are actually on the call, you can kind of get used to weaving it in, and you're really just interested. So, hey, it's awesome that you live in Arizona, or it's awesome that you're in this industry. Tell me more about what you got going on. What's your current situation? Situation, important vocabulary word right here. Or is that the right term? Important word. Situation is really pinpointing at what their pain point is without saying, what's your problem? No one wants to hear like, so what's your problem with your business? You don't want to say that. You want to say, what's your current situation? Like, get that word to sink in their head. And then they open up to what they have going on relating to what they know about you. Because they're probably going to talk, if I'm a marketer and I ask them, what's your current situation in your business when it comes to growth, they're going to mention something about marketing, right? And that's how we get the flow going. We got to have a baseline, because without a baseline, it's hard to know where we're going, right? And it's hard for us to understand where they're even going, because they can talk all up here, but where they are today. So the first question, what is your current situation? Once they answer that, we don't just start to add our feedback or thoughts. What we want to do is then say, awesome, I hear you. What is your goal for this year? Or depending on what kind of coaching you do, if you coach in 90-day cycles. Then you ask them, what's your next quarter goal? Or if you work every 6 months, what's your goal for the next 6 months? You want to kind of already start to prime them on how you operate from a timetable perspective. And so you ask them, push to the next one. What is your big vision in the next, me and Josh do 90 days. What's your big vision in the next 90 days? How are you trying to move your business? How are you trying to grow your business? And so they're giving you point A with the first question, and now they're giving you point B with the second question. And they're able to kind of express, you don't want to tap too far into like specifics. I'm very systems oriented. So like sometimes ask, well, what's the revenue goal? And they're like, whoa, you want to be more so calm with it. What's your big vision? Paint me the picture. Because if there's someone that is a business owner, they probably had a dream. Tap into that dream, get to know that dream, because that dream is where they want to go, and that's what you're going to be offering them, is that the transformation between the two. And so usually when they answer, what is your big vision, you always want to follow up so that they don't just start to ask, now tell me about you. You want to start to ask, now real quick, I'm curious, like now that you told me where you want to go, how do you plan to like bridge the gap? And so that's the third question you ask, is like what I just said. So that's your vision. I'm just curious, like how do you plan to bridge the gap? What's the game plan? And they'll say, well, we're trying to do XYZ. Or if I'm a fitness prospect, I'll say, well, I signed up for a gym down the street and I'm going to try to start going there. And I read some articles about what to eat to be healthier, but I'm not quite sure because I see a documentary and it talks about this, but I see they start to go on. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of getting a picture of what your game plan is. And then just to kind of calm down on this, because I'm kind of getting excited.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on the first three? Just to kind of want to make sure that we're all on the same page, is that when you are able to create point A and point B, and then how do you bridge the gap in between, you're creating a storyline. You're creating a storyline for the customer to become the main story, right? And so with all stories, we don't just turn on a happy story that's an hour and a half long. We want to turn on a story where there's an obstacle or something that happens to the main character and they can't figure it out, right? Those are the most exciting movies. And so we want to create that same thing here. Once we ask, how will you bridge the gap? The next thing we want to go into is, instead of answering and giving recommendations, we want to follow up with say, I get that. So what's really missing? What's the big obstacle from getting you there right now? And that's the start of the journey, right? That's the start of the story. And you as the guide are learning about what they believe is missing, right? And usually it's easier for them to say what's missing versus what they say they need to bridge the gap. This is where they start to trip up. They're like, wait, so maybe I do need this, or maybe I do need that. Okay, what do you recommend? And a lot of clients that we find out to be successful, they answer number 4 and saying, well, what do you think? Because they don't know, and that's good. Sometimes they're more guarded and they try to be more defensive, and that's okay. Say, hey, that makes sense. Like, I get what you're saying. I hear you. You got to approach them based off how they respond to number 4, because number 4 is an important step in their story, and we don't want to skim through that chapter, right? We want to really make that part important. And so once we ask what's missing, we basically got the hook in. And before we move them to the next chapter of the story, we just want to know how interested they are in participating. Is this something you're looking to solve now or later? We ask this question because it helps us be able to validate if they are a right fit to move forward in our sales process. If they're looking to do something like 6 months later, well, then they're not really necessary for us to hop on a call right away. Let's schedule something 6 months later before we dive in and give them tons of value, because value is expensive. You only have so much time in the day, so you got to value your time, and this impact should be given to the people that want to take action now. So with this, you got the 5 questions that really give you an insight on where they're at, where they want to go, the in between, what's missing. And then for them at this point, they're not really sure. They're feeling some uncertainty, which is great, because every great movie starts off with the main character having some doubts. And the guide, the Yoda, the whoever it is that comes into the storyline, gives them that confidence to move forward, gives them that clarity, which is why we then decide if they're a right fit to move forward. And that's where we book the education call. This is how we actually decide to get clarity on the question number 3. Because now that they've been able to explain to you the 4 questions, we want to be able to bring them on a second call where our objective is to get clarity on the journey so then we can give them the best recommendations to go through that journey. And that's how, for us, we usually deal with coaching business owners like yourself, and we want to be able to help you understand your customer's journey and how you manage that. So that way we can help you build an amazing customer journey and get clarity on the steps you need to grow your business. For fitness coaching, it can be educating them on everything they need to know. Yes, that's right, giving them everything up front, everything they need to know in order to get in shape, in order to get XY result. They want clarity. And we'll dive into this on the education call portion, why that's so important. But just remember, the triage call is not a sales call. You don't have to feel like you have to sell them on anything. In fact, I've made a lot of great connections through the triage call that have been able to refer me business because they just love the way I ask them questions and learn more about them. And I can always push it to another call just to chat about potential opportunities. I've had several people that weren't a right fit for me, but were a great fit for one of my friends. And so I was able to switch them over to them. The triage call is great because if you offer more than one thing, which most coaches start off with having multiple ways to help someone, then instead of having different offers online, bring them to this triage call for then you to decide what's the best fit for them based off their point A, point B. That's how you're able to move the needle so much quicker and get a lot more results. And while you feel like you might be spending a lot of time talking to fresh leads that might or might not work, really 15 minutes of your time, some coaches spend 2 to 3 months building out a website only for it to not even sell what they're really trying to sell. They're talking about something else. Like, you add up the time, triage calls are starting to sound pretty good, right? And so that's really the basis of the triage call. Anyone have any questions on the triage call? Does that make sense? I feel like, Josh, anything that popped out to you?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is realize like no one no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So the triage call does two things. It allows you to become a great listener. And majority of people don't listen. They're trying to just speak. And the second thing is you're putting yourself on the same side of the table, painting, like Derek said, the story of what they want. So now, after just 15 minutes, we're both on the same side of the table and we're now just both looking at like, all right, so this is what you want to do. Great. And they feel that you care about them because you took the time to listen to them. So listen to your prospects. It blows my mind to hear like a lot of coaches and salespeople who don't even listen. So make sure you have two ears, and that's the beauty of this process. You don't even have to try to sell them. It's so easy when you realize your goal is just to listen and absorb the information, so then you can really help them on the next step.
Beautiful. And our recommendations to really master this part is just by practicing. Practice, practice, practice. That's how you really get the triage call. Even for me, I started getting back into triage calls myself lately. And at first, I was a little unsure. I was like, okay, I have the format, but at the same time, like, are these people going to be like interested in what I have to say? Are they not? Like, but what really happens is that once you start asking the questions, everything gets relaxed because people love talking about what they're working on, what they're doing. And at the end of the day, we're all human. We all want to work together. We want to be people. We all want to share. And so I recommend opening your calendar to small chunks every day. That way you don't get overwhelmed with too many calls booked in one time frame. We see this happen a lot. Do small segments every day so that way you can consistently practice. That allows you to really get better results. And then limit the call to 20 minutes or less. When you start, it's really easy to find someone that's understands what you're saying and you relate with them and you're excited because when you have a spark with someone, you want to keep talking. It energizes you. And so just keep in mind that over time we want to dwindle that down to 20 minutes or less call so that way we can keep on track with our schedule and be able to have more of these. Um, so yeah, that's basically the goal here is to practice through that process and get on triage calls. That's the only way. So anyone have any questions on this? Just want to make sure before we move to the next point. Um, I think that the triage call is actually pretty simple when you think about it.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not that challenging. The education call is where it gets a little more exciting. But that's the triage call. So let's move forward. So now that we've covered the triage call, we can move forward
Yeah.
to the next part, which is using this three-step education call. So Josh, why do we want to use a three-step education call?
Well, there's just like how we did on the triage call, we became a really good listener. Now we want to take those listening skills and still not assume what you heard on the first call. And you want to be able to actually create that game plan and clarity together. The reason being is that it's not coming from you, it's coming from them. So, first triage call, nothing came from you. Everything came from them. You just led them. Second education call, this three-step call, we're going to allow to hear from them their game plan, which then at the proposal call, when we give our recommendations, it's going to allow us to leverage that because we didn't put any of our input. All we're doing is taking what they said and just mapping it out so we can both look, all right, this is where you're at and this is what you have going on.
Love it. Boom. So, like we said, the education call is really about impacting them and making them feel educated, but more so be motivated. And we do that in three ways. And the great part about this is you can mix and match these. You can do one, you can do three, you can do four. There's some other variation spin-offs of this, but really we've collected it down to three. The first one that we like to run everyone through in our education call is something called a profile assessment. And this is really just a document that we create that has questions that give us a general overview of their business. Or if you're someone that's doing fitness coaching, a general overview of their health. Or if you're dating, the general overview of their relationship. One of those three areas, it's usually health, wealth, relationships, or something in between. And so the profile assessment allows us to kind of just get in the flow of answering questions. We want to know uh, what they do, why they do it, how do they do it, how do they deliver it. We want to know about their financials or maybe about something numerical. If you're a fitness coach, how much do they weigh, how much have they weighed in the past, have they done sports in the past. It's basically any form of questions that we can get in around a 15-minute flow to better understand them and to get the ball rolling. The other thing we want to do in the profile assessment that's really important is one of the questions needs to be probably towards like the middle is what is their real goal here? Because they explain where they want to go visionary wise in the first call, but we want to get that more tangible in a sentence because that's going to be our thesis statement for our entire solution and recommendation. So the profile assessment is where we're able to get that information. The goal, general information about them, some numerical answers, variables we can kind of use to better position ourselves in how we sell to them. How much, what's their job? Do they make a certain amount of money? If they do, can a small portion of that go towards what we recommend? The second step, and I'll review more of these in depth, I just wanted to kind of cover the general. The second step is a process called the process map. And the reason why this is really the magic is because we want to create that customer journey, that storyline with them live. And so this is easy to pull up a Google Doc, a paint with a mouse. This can be a piece of paper, a whiteboard. I like to use the tool called xmind.net. I'll type it in. Xmind.net allows me to quickly build basically a mind map out And how the process map works is it's usually taken from whatever curriculum you have as a coach. And so for us, we have a similar process that every business needs to go through in order to get money, in order to grow revenue. And for us, it's the customer journey. That's what we call it. So it's like your customer's journey from never knowing who you are to becoming a raving fan is the storyline, is the map. And so that's how we can dive in and start to explore the different parts that are missing. With fitness, it could be the same thing. What do you do? What's your schedule? What's your daily routine? And you can start to get every single activity that starts to add up, and you start to see patterns. You start to see opportunities. You start to see things you can recommend. And so that process map can be really illuminating for everyone involved because you're recording it live on paper or digital paper, and people can all come around and see it. They can tangibly see the journey, which for a lot of these business owners or a lot of these clients that you work with are not clearly seeing. They have a vision, but they aren't able to see it in that level of clarity. And that clarity puts you as an expert. So the process map is number 2. And then finally, we like to end it with the performance scorecard. Man, when we started adding this to our sales process, we were able to see way higher conversions because we were talking a lot about what to do and what you need to do and what. But the performance scorecard looks at what you're not doing. So the performance scorecard is really a spreadsheet that we create that allows you to be able to have either yes or no answers to specific questions you want to ask. So we'll have around 12 questions that we ask them. And ideally, we want most of them for them to answer no, because if they don't have that, then what the problem is going to be is until they turn that no into a yes and they obtain whatever they're missing, they're not going to be able to achieve their goal that we uncovered in the profile assessment. And that performance scorecard really seals the deal on educating them on how little they know, and it creates uncertainty and it creates a lack of knowledge in them, which allows them to be open to taking action on whatever they need to bridge that gap. Because for people that know what they want, they need to have a higher emotional state to purchase. And so it's going to take us to really show them and have them experience that level of being humbled for them to want to step up and take action. And it's happened to us. That's how we've usually invested into something when we were at the level of understanding what we need, just not understanding how to do it. So the education call with these 3 steps usually takes us around less than an hour. I'll break down the actual agenda. So this call should be a 1-hour agenda where the first 5 minutes is chit chat, getting to continue the conversation from last time, getting to see how they are, if anything's come up. This is a great way to understand if they are in the right mindset, because if they're all scatterbrained, you can ask them like, hey, should we reschedule this? Like, this is really important to be clear on. This could be the future of your business. This could be the next step to that vision. Let's make sure we're dialed in, we're on our computer, or we're in a closed off area. If they're distracted, be patient, pause and say, let's do it another time, because in that 5 minutes, you can gauge how they're feeling and what they're thinking. And if they're ready to go, let's rock, 15-minute profile assessment, 15-minute journey map, and a 15-minute scorecard. And then after that 45 minutes of working, you have 5 minutes of questions and next steps. Next step being this. Based off everything we covered today in these exercises, it was a lot, and I was able to understand a lot about you. But what I would really love, whatever the person's name is to spend a few days to kind of look through this, look through my notes, and really think about how I could best help you, and more so how I could best give you the best recommendations. Because with me or without me, we uncovered what you need to change. It's just a matter of how do we change them. And so I would love to hop on a call maybe next week or maybe in a few days. That's how we hand it off. It flows. We never had a client say, no, I don't want to know anything. You uncovered all this for me, and I have zero interest to know what you recommend. You told me you aren't selling me anything, but I still want to hop on the call. No, they of course want to hop on the call because you're giving them an out. It's like with these recommendations or with me or without me, you need these recommendations. And from my experience working with countless businesses or countless clients just like you, I think it would be very valuable. they'll be, heck yeah, let's do it. They'll be wanting to book a call right away, and they'll be wanting the exercises, which is another great leverage tool. All these exercises, you don't just send them over. You're going to put them into the proposal, and that's how they're going to get access to them. So they want to get on that next call to get overall the hour of information they just collected, and to get your feedback on what you recommend after spending a few days going through what you believe they should do.
And the psychological shift in that is that, like, wow, they're going to spend a few days to actually spend time and create a custom approach to my problem, right? And even if your solution is the same for everyone, because when we first started this, our Facebook ads solution was the same for everyone. We still did this because even just the perspective of them going, wow, they're really going to spend time on me and my journey. And that's what we want. We want them to realize that, hey, we're really just going to spend time. And I don't even want to sell you. It's the second time talking. I'm not even selling you. And we had so many countless clients of ours come back and go, wow, like I don't know how I bought. And I felt like I just rolled into this. And that's what we want to feel. Things should flow through. So now it's like, wow, I didn't feel any type of sales pressure at all. And that's what we want to take away.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, what?
Oh,
Yo, dog, I heard you like bonuses, so I gave you a bonus on your
yeah.
bonuses.
So
What's over-the-shoulder examples of Derek bonus from Josh? What is this, Josh?
I threw this in, bam, bam, bam. So I threw this in because I want Derek to show you, because it's easy to speak about. However, I think if we show you, you can get an idea and then use that to figure out how it's going to best serve for your business, right? Of course, our exercise is based off what we're helping others with, but how can we take and you take exercises that we've came up with and utilized. But I would love for Derek, I know Derek didn't even know this as a surprise. I snuck this one in. I'm going to have Derek just share his screen and go through and kind of some of our exercises. And this way I think will help really tie everything together, because our goal and intention for the education call is for us to tap into their unconscious incompetent. I think a lot of business owners and who you're serving, they're sometimes not even aware that there's a problem they're facing, right? So there's 4 steps to learning, and the first step is being unconsciously incompetent. It's like when someone asks you to tie your shoes when you're 5 years old. It's like, well, I don't know how to tie my shoes, right? They don't even know that there's a problem, and this process allows us to map it out. So, Derek, you're on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me share my screen. Can you guys still, Josh, can you see this?
Yes.
Perfect. So I pulled them up. So this is the business profile assessment. This is the current version that we use on all of our sales calls. And so what I did is I created this whole thing on Canva, just like pulled up a PDF size document on Canva, which is canva.com. It's like a tool to make easy graphics and stuff like that. But it also can be used to make PDF size documents. And all I did was make a title, business profile assessment, my logo, and then I had some questions that were blanks. These are all blanks underneath them. And what I did is I put it into Adobe Acrobat. I think there's also another free tool you can use where you can make this a fillable PDF. So I can actually click and type the person's name. So I can type in Joshua Munoz, and I can fill this out like as an actual document. Kind of like if you ever got a government document in online, they have you like fill it out in this weird kind of PDF way. Same thing. So it looks like we're actually typing out a printed sheet together, which gives it that little bit more tangibility. We have something we can hold. And so I go through these questions. I ask Josh, what do you do? So what do you do? Tell me. I checked out your website. I checked out your email. I checked out your Instagram. I checked out blah, blah, blah. But in your own words, like I really just want to know, what do you do? And then who do you serve? How do you deliver the service? Why did you start your business? Is anyone picking up on the pattern here? Who, what, when, where, how, why? Those type of questions. That's the first thing you want to tap into. That's the easiest questions to answer. It's very general and it lets them get on a roll. So what do you do? Who do you do it for? How have you done it in the past? Why do you want to get into this? What's your goal? Like so many different ways to kind of tap into that. I like to keep it on one page. So ideally you're going to ask like 4, maybe you can make it a little tighter and ask 5 questions and keep it at that. The next page I like to go into is the numbers. So for us, numbers are really important because if they can't afford us, well, we can't help them. And it changes the way we would perceive how we can best recommend what they need to do. As well, there's different stages in a business. So understanding like all the information, how many active clients do you have? How many total clients do you have? How many sales did you make in the last 30 days? The reason I'm asking a lot of questions here is because I just want to know how much money are you making right now, and how much money do you want to make in the goals section. But I don't want to just ask that. So you want whatever coaching you do, if it's relationships, if it's health, like you want to be aware that some people are going to be a little more defensive of their failures or what they're working on, what they're not working on. So you want to make sure to slowly ask them questions in an easy way. And this is where you can break it up, because you're asking a number of questions. So get them to start with something easy. Like if it's fitness, it's like, what's your average weight versus what's your weight right now? What's your average weight? What's the lowest weight you've been in the past? What's the highest weight you've been in the past? What is your current weight? You see how we asked kind of 4 questions to get to that answer, but we got kind of more dynamicness of it. So same with financials for this. And I want to know last month revenue, last quarter revenue, last year revenue, because then I can start to see patterns, right? And that's what we're looking for, is patterns through numbers. Just like we're looking for patterns through what they say, we're like looking for patterns from what they've done. So that's financials. And then the last part of the goals, this is where it's really important. For us, a goal for a business is usually revenue. It's really what the goal is for your business. If you are a coach that's in fitness and you really recommend, you're a weight loss coach, well, then you want to ask them, what's your weight loss goal? What do you want to weigh? Like you want to kind of prime them towards the goal that your business does. And so that allows you to kind of get them to already be framed in what they're going after. So we're all on the same side. We all have the same belief. And then I also offer another goals section. Other goals is great because while we want to know the number and that's our point B, sometimes we can get a lot of insight here because they start to talk, throw things in there that I never even thought they would have said. Like other goals, I'm like, yeah, I'm really looking to do this trip in another country and offer services there, and I want to do retreats. I'm more so interested. That's what I really want to do, is build this to do retreats. It's like, well, why didn't you say that in the triage call? Like sometimes you just get a little more insights from these other goals, because you didn't ask them what's your goal on the triage call, and so other goals can be really helpful. Getting goals down and then getting them down with maybe a time frame stamp to that can be really helpful. So those are the 2 pages, and then the last one, this is just more so priming them. Like this is, you don't have to have a third page. I just want to know like team members, role, function. I'm really looking for if they've worked with other people that are working with people currently that offer what I offer. If they're already working with a coach, well, that changes a lot of the conversation, right? Last 30-day highlights, last 30-day challenges. These are questions we ask on every consulting call. So we're trying to just prime them to already start thinking about what we would be asking them on every call. So if you meet with your clients on a coaching, like a weekly coaching schedule or in a group, just start to think about, what do I ask, what do I do to check in with all my clients, and how can you start to get them to think about checking in before they even become your client? You're already making them your client. And then of course the last thing is, what do they need? So for us, we're working with business owners, but if it's fitness, like what do you really need? Or if you're a relationship, what do you really have? Like, what do you really need help with? That's the final question. What do you need help with? Because sometimes they might put down something that you would be like, wait, that's what you think you need help with? You need help with this, not that. But it allows you to get insight on that, because if they are not aligned with what you think is the best action, then you don't just tell them that. This next process we go into, which is the customer journey, you're going to start to uncover that, right? So that's kind of this document. Does anyone want this? I could I could share this with you. If you guys want this document, send me an email after the call, and I can just send you this copy of this. So you can kind of use it as a template for whatever you're working on. And then I'll skip the customer journey because I can hop onto that in a second. Um, can you still see the screen,
Yep,
Josh?
I can still
Perfect.
see it.
So this is our growth analysis scorecard. We do this for every single client. Basically what we do is, this is the third part of the sales process, and this is where we map out specific yes or no questions. So we'll ask him like, a specific question that's very specific, because we basically wrote down everything that, whatever your business sells, like you probably sell an outcome, right? And what are the values, what are the things that outcome has that the beginner doesn't have? You want to list that all out so it's clear. It's like, I'm a white belt, but I want to be a black belt. What does a black belt have that a white belt doesn't? That clarity allows me to really see what how I'm stacking up, right? It's easy in school, it's easy in sports, but when it comes to the things we coach on, it's a little harder to be able to compare where am I at as a XYZ whatever I'm trying to become. And so this scorecard allows us to do that. So we have 4 questions broken down. We ask them yes, no, what if they aren't sure if it's a maybe, let's always put no because it's either yes or no, black and white. We want to get that contrast. And then we go through here, answering all these questions. These are all specific detailed questions that comes to marketing. And then we're able to create a scorecard. It moves based off how they answer yes or no, and it can show us how much opportunity they have for growth and where they're currently performing. And then based off those numbers, we can pull down to a triangle of success, a triangle of growth that shows, okay, based off your current performance of 55%, you're just striving, but there's a few things that if you turn some of these small no's into yeses, you'd be crushing it. Like you're so close. Or if they're really in the danger zone, it's like, look, like there's a lot of things that need to be changed. Don't overwhelm yourself. We'll be able to help you prioritize what we need to start with. That's the goal of the scorecard. Um, I could, you know what? I could give this to you guys as well. If you want this as well, you can change the questions out to your questions and then change the branding and you'll still be able to get that cool score thing that pops up. This could be a really useful exercise. I can't see the screen because it'll start to like create it. But if any of you are interested in that, comment yes. And also, email me at the end of this and I'll give you a copy of this. And then finally, stop sharing.
Yeah, one thing cool thing about the scorecard too, Derek, as you pull up the next step, is that we're just asking them questions. It's not necessarily like, oh, it's coming for us, right? So like I know specifically if I'm a fitness instructor trying to, get you out, questions I would be asking would be like, all right, are you tracking your macros? All right, are you buying groceries? All right, are you going out to eat 3 times out of 7, right? So whatever your solution is, if it's like I know we have Ben in here. It's like, oh, if I'm helping someone write a book, it's like, all right, have you ever published a book before? Do you have your chapters created? Do you have someone guiding you through your next steps? Do you have an editor? Right? These are just yes or no questions to go, oh, okay, interesting. And we're not emotionally attached to the questions. We're just asking the questions. And it really kind of, that's what you said, Derek, it humbles a lot of people to realize, oh, okay, this is where we're really at. Because a lot of times we tend to, especially entrepreneurs and business owners and people in this realm, professional realm, we tend to kind of maybe talk more than what we really have.
Right.
So it's a natural human thing. No one wants to be like, yeah, I'm doing a horrible job. Right? Like, no one knows that they're gaining weight until they go on the scale. So
Exactly.
that's like the scale of just getting to the truth.
Can you guys can they see my screen, Josh?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect. So this is a tool called Xmind. I think it costs a little bit a month, or you can get the free version. I think this is the free version. I haven't even signed up yet. But what I do here is I barely just put in the per client's name. And then I already kind of built this out beforehand. Like I have a process I follow. It's like 5 or 6 macro steps. And then I track the micro. It's like building a table of contents or having your curriculum laid out. It's like, all right, Josh, now that we covered the basic information from the profile assessment, this is really about creating the game plan, the flow. Like how does the process work? So Josh, you're wanting to get into shape. Josh, you're wanting to become a black belt, right? You're a white belt right now.
Okay.
How do you want to become a black belt, right? So the first step is signing up for a dojo. And within that, Josh, like, have you tried signing up for a dojo before? Have you tried signing up for a dojo before? Let me use my example. So Josh, you're trying to build your business. You're trying to grow $20,000 or something like that a month, right? How do people that have never heard of you before find out about you? And then Josh will start to list out like, oh, like, what do you say, Josh?
Social media,
Right?
email marketing, podcasts. That's it.
Are you doing anything with Facebook ads?
No, no.
Okay, that's really popular for people that are trying to grow their business at your specific point. I'm gonna note this down here and just mark it so that way we know we don't have that. But you have social media; it's working really well. Are you on a lot of podcasts or not so much?
No, I just hopped on two
Oh,
podcasts
just two.
before. Mhm.
So maybe
But
you
I
can
definitely
hop
want
on.
more.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put an orange here because you have some of them, but you're not fully on it. That could be something we could look into. Um, cool. So that's that kind of summary up like how people find out about you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, once people find out about you, how do they get to get in conversation with you, learn more about what you're doing before they hop on a sales call?
I'm building a website now, so I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying
You have
to
like a
come up with
blog
blogs.
on it, or
Yeah, I'm trying to build a website with blogs, but it's not built yet. And then eventually, I want to launch my own podcast.
the podcast is not out yet.
No.
Perfect. So see what I'm doing here, guys? I'm kind of building out this like I have the macro events mapped out, and then I'm asking them for what they're doing and not doing on the feedback. This is really like how a curriculum's built. Like you have the different chapters of your curriculum, and then you have the each lesson plan. And so you want to know like, okay, I run Facebook ads as an agency, and I'm trying to close Josh. The fact that he mentioned he doesn't have Facebook ads is really good because he pointed out that he doesn't have it and doesn't have a blog, doesn't have a podcast. These red circles are all opportunities for me to solve. So like I could be like, okay, Josh, like um, I could do it in a timeline, like 30 days. So Josh, let's talk about how we can build you a 90-day game plan. Um, for the first 30 days, Josh, what would you normally do when if you were to start a workout plan? You said you had a kind of a game plan. What would your first 30 days look like with following that fitness plan, Joe? Like, what would you be doing? Eating, working out? Like, what was your plan?
Well, I would just do like a 30-minute walk a day.
Okay, 30-minute walk.
Yeah.
What else do you have planned?
And then I've been trying to eat healthier. So like instead of I usually will go out to eat a couple of times a week. So I'm trying to just maybe limit that to only 4 times a week.
Gotcha. And have you thought about um, like have you thought about going to the gym and lifting weights? Like weightlifting can be some of the fastest way to get to that goal that you want of losing weight, right?
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to go to the gym yet.
And is there a reason for that? Is it intimidating, or does it feel like it's not sure? Like do you not know what to do?
I think I don't know what to do. I think if I have a plan, I'll be better, but I just don't know what to do. And I'm not sure which gym to sign up for. There's so many gyms.
Right, right, right. So maybe like signing up for a gym might be a really good step.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. That's something we can look into. And then after the 30-day mark, Josh, we start to see people start to get used to their routine. They start to get used to eating. But around the 60-day mark, Josh, we really want to start to focus on now that you're consistently going to a gym, you signed up, we want to really target that diet. So um, what are you eating right now?
Well, I usually just breakfast. I'll skip it. I'll have my coffee, and I usually go to like my favorite cereal for sure.
All right, I'm not honest with cereal. I think it's
Cereal. There
yeah.
you go.
All right. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm starting to map out things. I could say, hey, Josh, like maybe we could look into. You said skipping breakfast, but having cereal still. Like maybe we can look into intermediate fasting or something, or we can look into whatever my program is, and I can start to pinpoint like, hey, this is a priority we can focus on. See how like I'm building this out and kind of building this flow out. So then at the end of the day, I can say when I go to the proposal and I have my curriculum or my coaching program, I can basically say like I can pinpoint everything we talked about, how you didn't have those things, and how they're going to be put into the curriculum to help you. Um, so this process can be it's really depends on how you do it. Some coaching clients, some of our clients that are coaches don't do the customer journey map because they might not necessarily need to in the way they do it, but other people thrive off this, especially if you offer some type of service over time or like a short project based window, or if you're trying to look at their system, like it's kind of like a system deep dive. Those are different ways where you can really get a lot of benefit out of this process, right? So with that, let me hop back on, and hopefully that was not too much time taken out, guys. Josh kind of threw that curveball in there, and I wasn't really prepared, but I'm glad we went over it. And if any of you guys want any of that, like I said, feel free to message me after, and I can send you those documents. Cool. So let me put this back up. All right. So any questions on the education call, guys? I know that was a little bit longer. Um, anyone have any questions regarding that?
It was a little bit longer, but I appreciate you sharing because I think it is the most important. All we're doing is we're educating them on what's out there, and that's pretty much the whole name of the game, right? We just spent an hour and 15 minutes with this ideal prospect. We got where they're at. They trust us and know us. We're listening to them, and then we just educated them, which is beautiful. Which now then allows us to go to the next step, which makes it easy for the close.
Beautiful. So now that we're clear on the education call, the final thing is to sew this up in a nice bow and offer the recommendations. And this is actually the easiest part. Now that you did a lot of the legwork, the proposal, how we do it is we create a template and then we just basically quickly fill in the information needed to create the proposal for each individual. So while each individual proposal is customized, we'll show you a way to kind of make it easier. So before we dive into the system side, let's kind of talk about how to close the sale through a proposal. And in a proposal, you're going to need these things. Me and Josh have gone through so many of our own purchases through high ticket sales. We've studied under a lot of people. We've really learned what is most important to have in a sales process. So listen up, this is really important. The first thing that's going to happen in this proposal is to have a section about your who you are and what your business is. A lot of calls usually don't end with them asking about us through the education call. But there's times where we've had clients say, or prospective clients say, "Hey, real quick, like, do you have any case studies? Or do you have any blah blah blah?" I would say, "Hey, yeah, no worries. Like, I can let's go over that on the next call. Right now, I want to make this call about you when we relate to the education call." But the proposal, the last call is where you get to get all about you. It's like, "Hey, this call, I'm going to show you my recommendations as well. Kind of show you more about me because we haven't really talked about what I do, right?" And they want to know. They're interested. So this is where we start with really the three quick things: your origin story, your business philosophy, very important, and your personal bio. So to break that down, origin story is really like how me and Josh more so talked about the 3 hour work week or the 3 day work week and the about me and him and how we're kind of contrast. Like that little spiel is what we do in every proposal so that they can get a better understanding of me, get a better understanding of Josh, get a better understanding of why we're here. And then the philosophy is really important. I told you guys, we value giving our clients clarity for long term sustainable growth. And our philosophy, how we view marketing, is it's long term. So we're not going to align with people that want short-term results. We're separating ourselves from the market with our unique philosophy. And by separating ourselves, we attract more because magnetic you have magnetic attraction in the market. People want to have polarity so that they can have something to push off of and be attracted to. That's what the philosophy is. Super powerful. Have a philosophy in your business. Next in this is now that you talked about you want to talk about your clients. And so what happens next is once you have the introduction covered, the next part is the case studies. Now, case studies are really easy to make. Don't overthink them. If you have had not too many clients, you can always get a client and kind of start with a smaller case study, start with smaller goals, and then update these as you go. But really, what you want to show is I worked with this client that got these results. Before they worked with me, this was their situation. This is how I helped them. And these were the results after. That's like a perfect case studies because you talked about the point A, the point B, and how you helped them bridge the gap and what came from that, which is what you do with the story. You're basically showing others how you guide people. And you give them some insight on who these people were, like put a face on the case study, show these people because you care about them, right? They're not just a number, they're a name. And so case studies are a great way to show your passion. It's like I loved working with Josh. He came to me not knowing how to structure his business. And through us working together, I was able to set him up with CRM. All of his leads are managed now. He only hops on 5 minutes a day. I was able to help him streamline his um, lead acquisition, being able to lead. What's the word, Josh? Lead generation. There we go. Help him streamline his lead generation, being able to get him to be able to grow his revenue, and the results where he was now making 20,000 a month and being able to spend more time with his family and friends. Like that case study right there, basically sold him on how I perceive the person, how I perceive the problem, and how we achieved it. Case studies are pretty straightforward. This is where it gets really, really important. So I want you guys to listen here. We want to have either one, maybe two goals that we took from the education call that are the North Star for our story, our journey for the client. We want to give them that goal and then make sure that we don't just read it to them, but we get them to approve and concur that that is the goal that they want to achieve. We don't move forward in the proposal unless that goal is clear. And sometimes we have people saying, "Oh, this," and I'm like, okay, well, you said this. Like, we make sure we're clear. I'm like, is everyone clear that this is the goal? And we get them to say yes. Only then do we move to the next step. Based off this goal, which you agree, these are the recommendations we have to achieve that goal. This is what you need to do. These are the solutions. And we go through either like the one solution or like the three. I usually like to have it to be either 3 solutions or 6 solutions. So that way we can have like kind of a nice pattern. It's usually your curriculum or what you're going to flow them through, what you're going to educate them on, or what the process is. And you're going to go through each recommendation, spend like 1 or 2 minutes on each one. Like first, we're going to cover who you're targeting. Then we're going to target what you're packaging to that who. Then the next step is we're going to be able to then, now that we know who and what we're offering, we can come up with some marketing material. Now that we got the marketing material, let's start building it out on a social media platform. See, I'm just kind of guiding them through like the process of what we kind of uncovered on the customer journey, but also just a little bit more of like how we're going about it. And every few I give them, I say, do these recommendations make sense? They're like, yeah. And without these recommendations, would you be able to achieve that goal? No. So this makes sense, right? Yeah. Perfect. So then I go through that process and I get them to check off that without these recommendations, with me or without me, just these solutions in general, they need to do. So that's really the outcome of goals and recommendations. And then finally I say, cool, so we got it. Like, we're clear. Do you feel clarity now? They're like, yeah, it makes a lot more sense. I know what I need to do. And then I say, perfect. So one of the things I want to offer to you is because I happen to have done this a lot, I think I could really help you. I know you could do these recommendations on your own, but you might deal with taking a lot of time of your time to figure this out. It takes a lot of time to learn. I've been doing this for 3 years. It could take you a lot to catch up. It might be costing you a lot not doing it with me because I can help you get there faster, get there more efficiently. But I just want to point out how I do it and see if that makes sense for you. They're like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I would love to hear it. That's where I go into the scope of work. A lot of times we have clients that come to us, they do the triage call, and then they do the next call where it's just scope of work. Like, see how much we've done and covered before we even talked about our product? That's called building a relationship, people. We built the relationship to where now it's like, what other coach is doing this? Our competition is no longer our competition. We're no longer a commodity because there's no one that has done this level of investment into our relationship. I never felt sold to. I felt educated. I feel motivated. I feel like I learned a lot. No one's ever breaking it down to me like this. This is my goal. This is what I want. Why would I not want to invest? And so the scope of work is just clearly detailing out the price, the description of the program, and the next steps. Now that we have this, now that we finished the proposal, that's step 1. The next step 2 is to set up an onboarding call, and then step 3 is we start the program. When would you like to start the onboarding call? I like to do it Mondays and Wednesdays. Before I end it off, because they're usually like, well, and real quick, before you make a decision, I want to make sure we're clear on the guidelines of how we have a relationship together. So now that you told them the price and they're trying to sink it in, you pull back real quick. Hey, before you give me an answer, let's get clear. I want to show you my boundaries. These are the boundaries that I don't go. I don't answer my phone on weekends. I'm working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Like, I have a life. I love to spend time with my family, right? Like, don't you? And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, and also like our goal and our solutions are what we're going to follow. If we start to come up with other solutions, that changes the agreement, right? So like we start to include the things that would make us feel taken advantage of. We're setting the boundaries so that we don't have to deal with clients' dismay later down the road. We're creating those standards for how our relationship is going to operate, so that they don't have to find out later that that's not what we do or what we do. And then after the relationship, they're like at the price. They're like, okay, emotion. Look your rules, how it works. Okay. All right. So would you like to schedule an onboarding Monday or Wednesday? Most of the time, I would say 50% of the people say yes. 50 of the people are like, well, they give some other excuse and they want to think about it. And I say, you know what? If I was in your shoes, I'd want a few days to think about it as well. Like we motivate them to spend time away from us to think about it. And I tell them, what I could do is let's just set up a tentative time. Like let's just set up maybe next Wednesday at 4 to 4:30. We can just hop on a call, kind of review what you thought, and then move forward. Because we are grown now. And we do have people like yourself that are wanting to work with us. And you've seen through our case studies that we aren't just new. We're able to do great things. So would Wednesday work? They hop on Wednesday and we're like, okay, and you ask questions. And then they're like, oh yeah, let's move forward. Done. That's how closing the calls work. So software, how do we build this thing? Well, what we can do is anyone that's signed up for this, you should be able to receive this proposal already. If you haven't, let me know. Check an email for Growing Out Digital. It should have came from an email, derek@growingoutdigital.com. And it had a bunch of links, a bunch of freebies. This is one of them. The software we used to design this was in Canva. So what you can do is we really just used a proposal template down Canva and changed it around. You can use this as a guide and try to make your own. And then what we do is we take the Canva design and upload it into PandaDoc for the e-signature. That way we can send it to people. We're able to create custom fields that they can type in their business name. We can type it in, so it just quickly creates it. And we're able to quickly upload all of those assessments, all the exercises that we did in the education call to it. It makes it really simple. It really allows us to kind of just streamline that process. If any of you are interested in a more detailed explanation of this, I can send you a bonus video of a step-by-step process to do this. If any of you are interested, message me, send yes in the chat, and we can do that as well. But that's basically it. That's the sales process call. So now that we covered the 3 areas, we covered the triage call, we covered the impact with an education call, we covered how to close the proposal call. Anyone have any questions? Awesome, Ben, I'll send that over. I feel like we did a pretty good job this time, Josh. I feel like we were able to explain this pretty well and make it easy for everyone. And hopefully you guys all enjoyed this. Now that we've accomplished 3 steps, really it's just think about, what do we just learn? How can we apply this to our business? How can we apply this to our clients? How can we apply this to our sales process? What are the 1 or 2 things, guys, that we could take from this and be able to implement today? So,
and one thing I want to mention too, Derek, on that is like, a lot of times people think, well, like, oh, wow, guys, so you do 3 calls per client? Yes, that's correct. Because if we spend 15 minutes with the person on the triage call, an hour education call, and then 20 minutes to review the proposal, we spent less than 2 hours, and then we have a very highly qualified, highly educated person who understands that we are the authority of our business in our niche, and then how we actually are the best ones to be able to recommend it to them and help them deliver it. So, and overall,
if they try to go anywhere else and they see how the sales process doesn't happen, they're going to come back. We've had that a lot. We're like, yeah, like the other guy just emailed me a proposal. It was pretty bad. Like you guys were just so good at how you deliver your sales process. Like I want to work with you just based off the principle that you guys were good.
Yeah, and we've had client. I mean, majority of our clients want us to teach them this process. That's why we created this relationship sales mastery, because we deliver this to a dozen plus people that were like, wait a minute, what you brought me through was so seamless and it was awesome. I appreciate you guys bringing us through it. So that's really the simplicity of the 3-step sales process. We want to keep it simple, but just like anything else, one, because it's simple doesn't mean necessarily it's easy, but it is simple to follow once you apply it.
Perfect. Well, I'll put together that swipe file of all the things I showed you in this call for bonuses, and then I'll send it over to you if you emailed me or if you said yes in the chat. I know a few people DM'd me through the chat, not through the everybody chat. I probably should address that on the next call that we can do everybody chat, because I got a few messages direct to me, but it'd be cool for everyone to see it. But anyway, that's pretty much it for today, guys. I'm glad you were able to attend. I look forward to seeing you all grow. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or Josh in the future. And let's start building relationships. Let's start making impact, and let's start to grow now.